Welcome to the Greg and Lisa Show.
I'm Greg.
And I'm Lisa, and this is our impromptu show. Notice no outlines in front of us
I
today.
know.
How about that? Are you
I
lost?
so no more lost than I usually am, surprisingly. But
Yeah.
folks, if I don't make it out of this week, I'll make sure my last wishes are known. No, we're
Yeah,
kidding.
because
We'll be fine.
we're going to be talking today about things that are in the news and Mother's Day and just kind of whatever's on our mind or whoever
Hmm.
calls in and talks to us. But we are going to start with a letter that was written to President Biden in 2022. And it's about using God's name in vain and current state of affairs. And it says, Dear President Biden, I wish I were writing to compliment you on a job well done for leading the United States of America. Unfortunately, this is not the case. The last straw for me was your repeated use of in God's name this and in God's name that when expressing your concern over the current state of gun laws and the mass shootings. Please stop using God's name in vain. This is one of the 10 commandments that we are to follow according to God's holy word, the Bible. I'm not foolish enough to think that everyone is a Christ follower, but I am an American citizen who is a Christ follower, and I would expect you to have the same respect for my God as you do for the LGBT community, homosexuality, global warming, and your relationship with China, Russia, and NATO. Respect is earned and not just a given. You are the leader and current representative of the citizens of the United States of America. It is time that you stepped up and started acting like the president and in the best interest of the people. It is coming to the point, and this is in 2022, that Christ followers need to be considered a protected class. You put your arms around youngsters who are struggling with their gender issues and you tell them it's okay. We'll make it so you can be whomever you want to be. You are contributing to their external damnation by promoting homosexuality and transgender persons. You tell them it is all okay. It's not okay. A sin is a sin is a sin. No matter what it is a sin. The consequences of sin is death. Our judgment day, you will have to stand in front of God, just like the rest of us, and hold an account for all of your actions. We constantly pray for our leaders. We pray that God will grab a hold of your hearts and that you will lead with a heart of God and the good of the people and not serve the evil one. Please think about the following questions. Why was it okay that prayer and God were removed from our schools? Why do non believers have more power over what our children learn in school than believers do? Why is the separation of church and state a continued excuse used by non believers who always win? Can you see why Christ's followers should be a protected class? If everyone is entitled to equal rights, then why are our kids not entitled to pray and bring up Jesus Christ in school? Believers have the same rights as non believers, school or no school. No one is forced to be a believer. No one is forced to be a non believer. God has given everyone free will, just as everyone has the freedom of religion, except don't you share your religion or your religious beliefs because someone's toes might get stepped on. I'm being sarcastic. As a believer, my toes get stepped on when they're the right for abortion. My toes get stepped on every time there is an LBGT pride activity. My toes get stepped on when I see homosexuality promoted. Who cares about our toes? No one. We get told don't look, close your eyes, let everyone be who they want to be, accept it, and have a tolerance for this sin sick world. As Christ followers, we are challenged to love one another and love our neighbors as ourselves. Would that be one of the 10 commandments? I think so, which means we are to extend the love of God to others regardless of their sin. That does not mean that we condone their sin or what they do. We do not promote their sin. We are to live and act as Christ did, which is to show love, be humble, be righteous, and pray. Seek God first and do the right thing. Why is it that non believers are not told to don't look, close your eyes, and don't listen if someone is praying, or walk away if someone is talking about Christ? Are their freedoms really being taken away? What about the believer's right to their freedom of religious expression? Again, shouldn't Christ's followers be protected? We are shunned, ignored, disregarded, and thrown by the wayside. 1 John 4:4. You dear children are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. I'll ask you once again to please do not use the name of the Lord thy God in vain from the presidential podium as the President of the United States in front of the American people. Now let's talk about the current state of affairs that are issues of concern to the citizens of the United States of America today. As the leader of the United States of America, it is time that the American people are put first. I have been a business owner for 25 plus years, and I know there are a lot of behind the scene issues that arise in making decisions. So please do not think I am naive about the current state of affairs. I am bringing this to you as a business owner who is affected by your decisions, as a regular citizen who is affected by your decisions, and as a mom and grandmother who is affected by your decisions. I will be the first to tell you that I dislike politics. I do not vote in every election because politicians are known liars. They misrepresent themselves to win, and they rarely ever do what they promise to do when they are on the campaign trail. It is sad, and that I have to feel this way, but it is true, and there are a lot of people out there who feel as I do. Let's take a look at a few things. One, you are going to start Medicare to begin at the age 60. Has that happened yet? Two, we are starting hearing about Russia lining up their army by the Ukraine borders way back in December, if not earlier. Please tell me why we waited till Russia started striking Ukraine before the United States started to do something. Why was there no pre planning? Why was oil leasing not opened up but for drilling ASAP at reasonable rates? Why were we not looking at what is imported and making the appropriate arrangement to increase supplies, providers, etc.? You are surrounded by people who are supposed to be experts in their fields. Their eyes are to be glued to what is happening in the world, to what is happening within various militaries, and with obtaining information on various central intelligence agencies. All I can see is one of two things. One, the United States dropped the ball, or two, the leaders of the U.S. are an accomplice to what is happening with our neighboring countries, either through financial gain or through completing an undisclosed plan for a takeover or merger with the U.S. for personal or professional gain. Three, why did you allow the global warming enthusiasts to sway your hand on the U.S. oil drilling? Besides money or greasing someone's palms, we are not able to sustain ourselves as an independent country. We are supposed to be the land of the free, the American dream, the land who takes care of their people. But here we are, oil shortages, formula shortages, tampon shortages, rising inflation, rising interest rates, falling stock markets, failing businesses, underemployment, because people no longer want to work or can afford to drive to work because of the price of gas. You cannot force our mainstream people into purchasing electric vehicles. It is totally impractical at this time. Everyday people cannot afford them. They are too expensive. They do not make sense. Do you really think a long distance truck driver can use an electric truck? How many batteries is it going to take to provide enough energy to get the semi from California to Maryland? How many times are they going to need to stop to recharge their batteries? Do you think they have 2 to 5 hours to sit and wait for their batteries to recharge when they are on a timeline to deliver their product? Even if the second, Even if the semi has both options for diesel and electric, it is not feasible at this time. The infrastructure is not there for accessibility for charging stations across the United States. Let's think about this. There are 30 cars at the rest area on the turnpike waiting to get charged. There are only 15 charging stations. Who waits? Are you adding hotels with free room and board while we wait in line for our cars to be charged? We have the ability to drill enough oil within the United States to last another 300 plus years on the low side. Why are we not self sufficient? It is embarrassing as a citizen of the United States. I am embarrassed by the current administration. I was embarrassed by the former president's professionalism. However, the state of the economy was successful and we were not in a state of recession. My business relies heavily on gas. As a government vendor, we provide quotes annually. There are no provisions for a 100% plus increase in gas
Mhm.
prices that no one could ever have projected. It's unprecedented. We bid as a flat fee is required. We have the ability to pass on a fuel service charge with our other clients. This has not been an option with the government. We are the small business absorbing the cost of the price increase for gas, supplies, labor, etc., and trying to survive. So stop with the ignorance and accepting financial contributions to push the electric cars, the electric grids, etc. This includes all branches of the government and put the American people first. Get the oil drilling started again at reasonable rates or a reduced rate for the first 3 to 5 years and put the U.S. back to taking care of itself. We cannot help others if we cannot even take care of ourselves. I equate this to the oxygen mask scenario that you receive when flying. You have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others, or you will die trying to help. Right now, the U.S. citizens are dying. We are suffocating from all aspects of the state of the economy, and especially after trying to recover from COVID. You stopped our oil supply lines. It was a decision that came from the top. Look where we are. Think of where we could have been. Now you are trying to backpedal and state it's Russia, it's the war, and it's global. This is wrong. You know it, I know it, and many of the American people know it. Clean energy is something for the future when it comes to that. You don't cut your nose off to spite your face. That is what you did. Rash decisions were made to spite the former president. Rash decisions were made because someone was getting financial gain. Rash decisions were made at the expense of the American people. I'm sorry, but releasing our reserve oil is not the answer. Meeting with the refineries is not the answer. You stopped the drilling and major oil pipelines for your own agenda, again at the expense of the American people. If we related this all back to the Bible and took a look at what God stated, our faith is supposed to be in God to provide. If you read Revelations, it is clear that Jesus is coming again, and we do not know when. He is going to come like a thief in the night. We do not know the day nor the hour. We are supposed to be ready. If it were tomorrow, are you ready? Will electric cars be important? What will the state of the world be then? We've become a technology obsessed society. We complain about our kids spending too much time on their screens. We complain about people hacking our computer systems, the government included. And look what happened when the oil provider was hacked and the issues of the ransom payment was all over the news. There was an uproar. When does it stop? People participate in the willingness by connecting their phones with all the apps, their banking, and the corporate government requirements to complete everything online, or you can't get it done at all. We are a convenient, easy access society. Then we wonder why kids, teenagers, and adults have social skill issues. It's like turning over the keys to the kingdom to everyone. Once again, when does it all stop? There is a time and a place for technology, but is not, nor should it be, everything. Here is something to think about. There are 40 to 50 million abortions every year worldwide, which is approximately 125,000 per day. Don't you think if all these babies were born, we would have had a higher population contributing to income taxes, Social Security, and Medicare? What a concept! We talk about the expiration of Social Security and Medicare because of the lack of funds. Newsflash, we did it to ourselves. In the US
Mhm.
alone, there are over 3,000 abortions per day,
Ooh.
excluding miscarriages. According to the abortion statistics Worldometer, there are families who cannot medically have children who would love to have a baby. At some point in time, there has to be accountability for our actions. God does not make mistakes. A baby is a human life. There are programs where babies can be dropped off at the emergency rooms. There is adoption. There are options. There has to be accountability. People know how babies are made. It is no secret. Let's stop playing dumb. There are contraceptives out there if someone does not want a child. Excuses are no longer acceptable. If you do not want a child, make better choices. It is not the baby's fault, and it's not the baby who should have a right to live. You have created it. The baby should have a right to live. You created it. If someone is mature enough to have sex, they are mature enough to make better decisions. I remember the uproar when the pregnancy clinics started passing out condoms and birth control pills without parental consent. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? According to the Bible, abstinence is taught because the act of sex is saved for marriage.
Mhm.
That is the way God intended it to be. No matter how skewed the incident is, whether incest, rape, abuse, etc., you still have a little life inside of you. Someone will raise and love that child. There needs to be a searching of the heart and prayer for guidance. Please know I am aware of the extenuating circumstances that life threatening concerns and having a child is never easy, but there are other options besides the death of a child to be considered. As a government, we need to stop supporting abortion, both state and federally. Marriages have decreased. The birth of babies has decreased, and soon we will not have enough people left to contribute to paying for electric cars, paying for government salaries, contributing to retirement, Social Security, and Medicare. Then what happens? God created one man and one woman for marriage and recreation. The pop to populate the world, he created that because he so wanted us to enjoy what he had made. Unfortunately, the evil one grabbed hold, and sin was in the world and is in the world. We have a choice. We can do the right thing. Does the right Doing the right thing is what life is all about. Doing the right thing within our families, doing the right thing at our jobs, doing the right thing for our neighbors and friends, doing the right thing for the citizens of the United States. What a world it would be if we just did the right thing. I know there is evil in the world. There is greed, corruption, self agendas, payment for votes, and so on. This is the disgust of politics, but we have a choice. We can keep our eyes closed and our mouths shut and do nothing, or we can start making noise and standing up for those that have an impact on our daily lives. Everything happening right now from the top down is affecting the average American citizen. It's a shame and it's a sham. You cannot use the war as an excuse. We are to be a prepared society, and the ball has been dropped. You, Mr. President, are responsible for the current state of the economy. It has fallen under your watch. Everyone will be required to give an account to Christ for all of our actions. I want to say that I'm sorry to my fellow African American brothers and sisters that have suffered so much mistreatment over the years. I'm sorry to the Asian descendants and the Hispanic descendants and any and all ethnicities that have suffered mistreatment. This is not and never will be an acceptable behavior for anyone. We are to love and care for our fellow Americans no matter their race. We are to love them as human beings. If you are a Christ follower, you are to love them as Christ loves us. We do not always agree with everyone's behavior, but we love them and not their sin, their opinions, or their views. We love them as a person. In loving our neighbors, it does not mean we condone their actions because we do not. We are to love everyone and let God work within them as we plant the seeds for Christ in their lives. Is this an easy task? I will be the first to admit, no, it is not. We have to extend forgiveness and grace and keep looking to Christ for guidance. We are all sinners who fall short of the glory of God, but we keep trying. We keep getting up. We keep learning and we keep seeking and leaning on the strength of God to see us through. I ask you, as President of the United States of America, to set the example for the Senate, the legislature, and all branches of the government to walk as God walked, to take an account of your actions as they have an impact on the U.S. citizens, and to monitor the words that you speak in public with respect to everyone, including Christ's followers. Respectfully submitted. P.S. My opinion is in no way meant to hurt anyone. I am expressing my freedom of speech, my freedom of religion. I know religion is supposed to be a protected class, but is it really? And my own personal opinions. I know there are people who will hear this letter and have been hurt by Christians. I myself am one of them. What I can tell you is if you keep your eyes on people, they will always fail you. People are human, but if you keep your eyes on God, He will never fail you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. I prefer to use the term Christ follower because, in my opinion, the word Christian has had a lot of negative connotations. Let's continue to pray for the nation and our leaders. Thank you.
Wow.
And that was a letter that was written to the President of the United States June 14th of 2022. Okay, almost a year ago.
I mean, over. It's
Yeah, June 14th is coming up, so it'll be
we're coming up on 2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So, what's changed?
Nothing. not much.
Isn't that a sad state of affairs?
Sitting here, and that's the first time I've heard that, so I can't say 100% of everything has that. Nothing has changed in there, but certainly prices of things aren't better, interest rates aren't better, war is still a thing.
Yeah. We're going to talk to someone who has voiced their opinion today on something that they have heard just today, and I want them to share this with you.
Real technological here. We're going to put them on speakerphone.
Yes, we are.
I do have the makings of a better podcast setup, everybody, but today we're going like this. It'd be fun if she didn't pick up, wouldn't it? Yeah.
She may not.
I was going to say, well, we can. There's certainly a lot to talk about in there, even without.
Yeah.
You have reached.
I will. So what you're going to hear is I will have probably taken the audio out of some of that little part because we don't want to give away who that was.
We don't want to put anybody's name out there unless they want it.
If it seems a little choppy, that's why, because I took that part out. So yeah, nothing is. We can wait on that, but yeah, nothing is really.
The only thing that's really changed is we do have a few more electric stations being installed all over the place.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
The electric cars are a funny thing because
to
make electricity, you still need to. A lot of that still comes from fossil fuels. Now, granted, there's wind farms and other ways of doing it, but there's still a lot of fossil fuel use, and there's still the issue that I don't know how you upgrade the power grid fast enough to account for.
You can't.
All that, because I mean, if everybody had an electric car, we literally do not have the electric infrastructure to sustain power with that.
We don't, and I'm on the road a lot, and I look at it as, there's a lot of rural areas that I travel to, and there is no way on God's green earth is there going to be enough charging stations that will sustain a vehicle for my travels.
Yeah.
And that's why I relate it to the semi, truck drivers and stuff, just like the letter said, because it's crazy, and the cost of the electric vehicles. That's why some of the manufacturings for vehicles have cut back on manufacturing them because the sales aren't there. Well, who can afford them? I mean, right now we're having trouble affording groceries.
Yeah. And it's like the letter said, rash decisions, because it's not to say there aren't better things we can do for the environment. It's not to say that some of us can't drive less or sometimes walk or take, public transportation but we went straight to electric cars and skipped over a bunch of little, easy things people could do. Oh, yeah. Well, somebody's calling. Wow. Yeah, first time ever.
Welcome to the Greg and Leisa show. Hi, Yvonne. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Oh, gosh. Thank you. Thank you.
You know what? Happy birthday, and I'm glad you called because I got to stop talking when that happened. So
we just read over a letter that was sent to the president back in 2022 about the current state of affairs, about abortion, about him using God's name in vain, and just trying to make him stand up for what's right. So, but anyways, thanks for calling in today.
Well, I did exactly pretty much what I wanted to do on my birthday. You know what that was?
What?
Nothing.
That's good.
Those sometimes are the best birthdays.
That's really not a bad thing at all.
Yeah. So
I'll say. Now, I know that Mother's Day is coming up Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
I just had a few thoughts on Mother's Day.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about myself. It just so happens I'm not a mother. I never have been. I never wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't regret it. I don't. And my mother passed away 40 years ago. So I don't have a mother, and I haven't been a mother. But I started to think a little more outside of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, I'm sure, a lot of people who, a little bit like Christmas, they might not do well on Mother's Day. They might have, well, all kinds of instances. Last night, I went to the Jewish Community Center to hear, for the first time, a Holocaust survivor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, she was fortunate because her parents went in hiding and they came back. But even before that, I read a book about Holocaust children where the mothers and the fathers, specifically the mothers, sacrificed themselves for their kids. They sacrificed themselves so that they gave their kids away, basically, at a young age. They gave them to Catholic places and out of the country and this and that. And the sad part about that book is those parents never came back.
Right.
And that was one of the saddest books I've really ever read about the Holocaust. And there's a lot of people who are probably not the happiest on Mother's Day.
Yeah, they're not. There's a lot of people that maybe didn't even have a mother that was very good, or didn't know how to be good, or they've lost their mothers. And and it's okay. Not everybody is made to be a mother, and it's okay that if you're you don't have kids, because not everybody does, and not everybody can. And so I think that I guess I kind of look at Mother's Days for all ladies.
Well, yeah,
because a lot of times we mentor other people that are not our kids, but they act like our kids, and we extend our hand. We extend our hand of God to other people, and so.
Well, right, and even mentoring a young one, like a lot of people. One group who doesn't do well on Mother's Day is kids who were kind of in the foster system or have come out of it, or so. Yeah, there's a lot that can be done, and there's a lot of women doing a lot of really great things in mentorship of young people, and absolutely that should be celebrated also.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, true. On the other hand, that's right. On the other hand, for those who were fortunate enough to have mothers that stuck with them and have at least some fond memories of their mother, then they're really blessed. And hopefully they can just remember the positive things, and I think in time anyhow that happens. You do tend to remember the positive things, and the negative things tend to fade away, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they do.
And let's be real, nobody's perfect. There's nobody who has 100% perfect childhood. We all grow up differently, but that's right. Yeah. After time, I think back to things in the past, school, try to think about awkward moments, and those are among the first things I forget about the past.
And I'm sure, and I would bet, I'm sure that if some of these mothers who have gone to be with the Lord, if they could come back, I'm sure they would. And knowing what they know, I'm sure they would do things differently.
They would.
Oh yeah,
and
who wouldn't about their life?
And I think too that one of the things that I had to come to terms with, with my mom was that she did the best she could do with what she had to work with. And
True.
And that's one of the things that as generations change from mother to daughter to mother to daughter and to sons, that we hopefully learn. Because I remember one of the things that my mom wasn't a big lovey-dovey person, and she wasn't big to say I love you, and that was one of the things, and neither was my dad. So but that was one of the things that I wanted to change when I had kids, was to let them know that I loved them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but I mean, that's one of the things that we're always going to learn. We're going to continue to learn.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
But we
that's great.
Yeah, we really appreciate you calling in and talking to us today. So,
well, you have a great show, and you're I'm sure you're a blessing, and I'm sure the Lord is looking at it, and I'm sure He's thinking, oh, that's awesome.
I certainly hope so.
Well, we hope so.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But
it's really very good, and the fact that you're generous and sharing all the knowledge you have, and I know even, I know you guys personally, and even off the show, you're always there to pray, you're always there to help, you're always there to share with what you know, and it has really proved beneficial. It has.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Because that's what we want, is to be obedient to God and to help and love others. Yeah. And I think that's first and foremost for us, and we appreciate that. We appreciate your kind words. So.
Well, it's my birthday, so I guess I'll go eat some birthday cake.
That's
all
great.
Right, enjoy the rest of your day. Yep. Take care.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
And bless you as well. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's so much between the letter and all that. But
it goes back to doing the right things.
Yeah.
It really does. It doesn't matter what your stature in life is, or your status, or your job title.
Yeah.
We can't take any of that with us when we go. And it goes back to that epitaph too that we talked about, a few weeks ago, was that, what kind of a legacy do you want to leave?
Yeah, and that's certainly, nobody's going to be perfect, right? And being a good mother or being a good parent has nothing to do with money. And we have another caller.
Yeah, we have another caller. So, hey, welcome to the Greg and Leisa show.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, we just read the letter that was written to President Biden back in 2022, and we just talked to a caller about Mother's Day. And I know I had talked to you earlier, and I wanted to see if you would share what you learned today with our callers from the county in Georgia.
Certainly, I can share that with you. What I learned today was that they have been spending the last few years going over the tallies from the 2020 election, trying to match everything up, which included ballots from past the date that they were due in, and ballots that were, I guess, created by a woman that lived in Georgia that worked for the city. According to what I'm hearing right now, she printed several fake ballots and had people in the office fill them in. So from all accounts of what they've discovered, and matching up the ballots that were legally done compared to the ones that were illegally done. The ballots in Georgia, this would be in Fulton County. President Trump actually won that area, is what's been discovered today. And this woman has been let go from her position in Fulton County. And they will be monitoring all of this closely. I imagine that she will be prosecuted because that's a felony.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of fraud.
Yeah.
However many ballots she made, that feels like one count of election fraud apiece.
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean, obviously the prosecutors will decide what to do there.
Yeah, well, the big thing I think that's going to come out of this is you have Fonnie Willis going after Donald Trump and several of his partners that were with him while he was in office. They are coming after him for questioning the election, or actually trying to have voter fraud. And it seems to me that they're the guilty party. So I'm not sure what this is going to do with this case, if it's just going to be tossed now because of all of the things that they've found. But it seems to me that this is becoming a norm in several areas, with all of these district attorneys, including now the Jack Smith with the documents that came to Mar-a-Lago from the White House. I guess they were tampered with. So I just got something that popped up on my phone stating that that case in Florida with the documents has been put on hold indefinitely. So I think Judge Cannon in that area is going to try and release as much as she can, so that people realize what's going on, the election interference that's happening with Donald Trump. And then I think she's probably going to call this case, it's not going to go through. So just seems like this is what's going on. And obviously the trial going on in New York right now is, you know, from stuff that, from what I'm hearing today, that Trump wasn't even aware of some of these things that were, you know, happening. The documents that were being filled out, the checks that were being signed, some of them he didn't even have anything to do with. So I'm not sure how this is going to go, but every time the prosecution puts somebody on the witness stand, it seems like they are more supporting Donald Trump and what they're saying, and these are their key witnesses. So if there's any type of brains on this jury, they will acquit. They won't prosecute him. So we'll see.
Well, we're going to keep praying. And that's one of the things, too, that, you know, in the letter that we just read, you know, the person that wrote the letter admitted they don't always vote in every election because, so much liars and fake, you know, stuff is said by the politicians just to get into the office. And, you know, which makes it hard. And how can you have your trust in the people that are supposed to represent you when they don't do the right thing?
Well, I guess that's where and why I stick with Donald Trump in this election, because it seems like he's very transparent, and I feel from just kind of the way he talks and the things that I've seen over the last 8 years since he actually got into office, that he is he's not a politician. He's a businessman. Right. There is the difference.
Right.
And so you're seeing a man who doesn't have to do this. He's got enough money. In fact, with his Truth Social, the man just became a billionaire. So he really doesn't have to be the president of the United States, because he gives up a lot when he does that. But he loves this country. I think he wants the best for his country. And I think he sees what we all call the swamp in action. And I think that's what he's trying to stop. So I'm all for that. And this is just total election interference right down the line. And Biden can't beat him doing it the normal way, you know, having debates with him and, you know, actually letting him campaign and going up against him. He's got to try and cheat and keep him in court all day long. And from what I'm hearing today, they're going to take Biden off the campaign trail a little bit more. He's not going to be just open to questioning and all of that. They're going to limit his speech time to about 7 minutes. And he just can't do it. I mean, he can't do it. So, and we all know the type of fraud and treason that we're seeing in his administration and with his son, and the money that he's been breaking in from China, from Ukraine, from Russia. So it seems to me like everything that they say that Trump is doing, they're doing themselves. So,
yeah. Well, and it all comes down to doing what's best for the American people.
Right.
It's not about, doing what's best to pad your pocket, or, doing what's best for, certain segments of society. It's about doing what's best for the American people as a whole.
Right.
And that's, and that's what God wants.
And, it's really a shame it has to come to those tactics because, I mean, let's face it, the things Donald Trump has done in his personal life, he's not a good man in a lot of ways. And if people were to just point out the things he's actually done.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things about, election years and politics is that's what people do, is they point out all their bad things instead of giving, accolades for what they've done because they want to win that bad. Yeah. And if you have to downplay your opponent to win an election, then my question would be, do you really belong in the office?
It should be on the issues to begin with. Yeah. But even at that,
right.
If we pointed out the things that actually, the opposite side were to point out the things that actually happened,
right.
probably stand just as good of a chance of winning a thing as with all the other tactics and fraud and election interference.
Well, I guess I would always say to that, we've all sinned and come short of the glory of God, and Trump is no exception. That's and I never look at him as a perfect person. I think a lot of the things that he still gets, the blame and the issues for are things that has happened in the past. I mean, the long ago past.
Yeah.
The thing that he's sitting in New York for happened before the election, and the first election in 2016. And, excuse me. Do I think people can change? Do I think people can accept Christ and turn over a new leaf? Yes. Very much so.
That's right.
I think we've all done that. And, excuse me. But I think that out of everybody that I'm looking at, I see a lot of good people, but it seems to me that a man who doesn't take a salary while he was in office, that he gives his money to charity, that he helps people. That police officer that died in New York that got shot by those two illegal aliens, I guess he paid off the mortgage for that lady's house and for her kids and stuff. So he does things like that.
So there are stuff like that. And I think it's important to remember the things that he has done that aren't so great. You think about how many other just normal men have done those same things, and the only reason people care so much about this one is because not even necessarily because he's a president, just because he's out there in the media. It becomes a much bigger deal. But there are a lot of people not losing their job over the same things.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to also understand too that we don't know. He's probably has he asked God for forgiveness? I would assume he has. If God's forgiven him, then we are to forgive him as well. Because the Bible says if we don't forgive, God's not going to forgive us.
On that same token, we also can't expect him to be perfect after that because we're not.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And according to Trump, it seems to me from what I've heard him talking about that he has accepted Christ, and that he and Melania are going to church, and they are doing, things. He is reading his Bible. He is trying to develop a closer relationship with the Lord. This is per him, and I'm not going to judge him. If that's what he says he's done, then I will believe that. I know that in listening to his speech, sometimes he doesn't always, say the correct things, but I guess sometimes when we all get mad, we don't say the correct thing.
I would probably screw up if I was speaking live in front of thousands of people / being broadcast to literally everyone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, I think we just all have to pray about it and go forward and do what we think is best for the country and let God direct, and He's going to take care of us.
He is, and there's one thing.
And if He doesn't take care of us here, well, He'll take care of us there.
That's right. And there's one thing I can honestly say is I never heard Trump use God's name in vain.
I have not.
Like I have heard Biden on TV and in speeches use God's name in vain. And that was one of the issues with the letter that was written in 2022. And, you know, we are all going to be held accountable. And one thing with, you know, the trial going on, you don't see all of the media slamming commercials because everybody's going after the trial. You know? So, but it's a shame. But we're going to keep praying. God's in control, and He knows what's going to happen. So, but
it's going to be. We're all going to be okay. Either way that this goes, you know, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So
it is. Well, thanks for calling in and sharing with us today. We appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Have a great Mother's Day, Lisa, and Greg. Nice to talk with you again as well.
Of course.
You have a nice Mother's Day too. So,
thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye bye.
So yeah, we've there is so much. I think it's an important thing for me to say right now is obviously we know we said a bunch of stuff that a bunch of people aren't gonna like, and I think it's important to remember that we don't have to. We can disagree without hating each other, and
you have to agree to disagree,
right? And Christians, you're right, and I like that part of the letter. You know, the word Christian, having been through quite a bit with people calling themselves Christians and doing just terrible, terrible things to people. The Christ, like people like us who sit here and say those things have to back it up. Christ followers have to back it up by actually doing what the Bible says and still showing love and still.
Right, we do, but we have to stand up.
Yes,
too.
yeah, and both those things are not mutually exclusive. You can do both of those.
Right, you can, but you know, talk is cheap too. If you don't stand up for what is right, you know, it's like letting them walk all over you. You know, and that's not what we are called to do. No. And one of the things in the relationship with Jesus Christ is, you know, look at in the, you know, other countries, people are losing their lives for standing up for Christ.
Yeah. And that's also why a lot of well-meaning Christians screw it up, because it's really hard to walk that line between.
Right. But
it's exceedingly difficult.
It is, but you have to keep trying at it, and you have to keep, you know, walking.
And that's why prayer, reading your Bible, doing all the right. We have another caller, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, good evening. We just got done reading our letter that was sent to the President Biden in 2022, and we had some conversations on what was found out today by the election in Georgia and for the 2020 presidential, and we've had some comments about Mother's Day. So thanks for calling the Greg and Lisa show tonight. So I think you're familiar with that letter that was written.
Yes. Is this the Greg and Lisa show?
Yeah, it is the Greg and Lisa show. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We got you now.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Did you hear what I said about we read the letter from President Biden from 2022?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we read that, and then we've had people call in about what they learned today about the investigation on the election fraud from 2020. And we've had people talk to us about Mother's Day. So how can we talk to you today?
Oh, you know, we could talk about Mother's Day. It's a real needed holiday.
It's a real needed holiday?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What in your mind, makes it needed?
Well, you know, mothers do so much, you know, and sometimes they complain, but they do it out of love.
Yeah, we had one caller say that, you know, she wasn't a mother. She's never been a mother, never, you know, had the desire to be a mother. But she, you know, was bringing up the fact that there are people that, struggle on Mother's Day because maybe they didn't have a good mother or fond memories, or, or their mother's passed already. And we kind of talked about, maybe it should be All Ladies Day instead of just Mother's Day. So,
I mean, I'm okay with another day too.
yeah.
If we want mothers to have one.
Well, I do have to tell you, mothers have a day, fathers have a day. There is a day in September for grandparents, but it gets pushed by the wayside.
That's terrible too. Sheesh.
So,
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to, a half a dozen man days or something, where we're allowed to go golfing or possibly fishing without argument or repercussions.
well,
I thought that
Mother's Day should be at least 6 times a year anyway.
Well, yeah, I can't argue with that, but I
Yeah.
mean, Father's Day, we are allowed to.
Yeah, well, but
I think most people golf on Father's Day. I think that's a very popular Father's Day activity.
Or they go to the car show.
And
There's
if you're not
car
a
shows.
father, can't you just go golf whenever you want anyway?
Yeah. But I agree. I mean, the men, they're entitled to their time too.
Sure,
And that's
yeah,
one of
absolutely.
the things that we talked about in the marriage class that we did was, everybody has to have their own personal time to share with friends or their hobbies, because that's their stress relief. That's their, collecting their peace and their time with God and their friends. So it should be allowed for both people, for mom and dad, guys and girls when they're dating. There shouldn't be any jealousy there, and it should be okay. So I agree with you there. So.
Oh, that's good. Well, hey, I really appreciate your program. You guys have a great evening.
Well, thank you, and thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, well.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff, a lot of topics, a
lot to digest.
There's a ton there for a show where we didn't have an outline. I didn't make it. You didn't make it.
Nope. We just decided this was our show. But yeah.
And in the future, I could, if people should feel so inclined as to call more, I can, wire up a system where it comes through a little more directly than speakerphone into the little podcast microphone. But
yeah, well, we want to check with one. We want to check with somebody in Michigan because they are having tornado warnings, and I haven't heard back from them yet, and we need to check in and see how they're doing. Yeah, see how the weather is, because they've just went through relatives in Oklahoma that just went through all those tornadoes there. So
I'll get that on speaker, Justine.
Hello?
Hi, we're just checking in to see how you're doing up there in Michigan and checking on the tornado warnings. This is the Greg and Leisa show. So, how's it going up there?
It's going good. We've had a few tornadoes, but not close to home, so.
Well, that's good.
We're okay.
Within 30 miles of you guys, or what?
Maybe a little more than 30.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Hopefully everybody is okay. You haven't had any bad reports so far, have you?
A lot of physical damage, but they're not reporting any personal damage.
Okay.
That's good.
No.
That's good.
Yeah, because stuff can be.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. It is.
Damage to a house is hard, can take a long time, costs a lot of money, but can't replace a person. You can.
That's right.
Rebuild it.
Well, we just wanted to call and check in and share with our viewers, because a lot of times when you watch the news, people don't always know people in those areas that are being affected. And it's nice that, we as a family of God can pray for people that are going through these times, like the people in Oklahoma, the floods in Texas, and just all of the catastrophes that are happening, that we can continue to pray for them. So. Well, thanks for taking our call today. We really appreciate it. Is there any questions you have you'd like to have answered while we have you on the line? So we we read the President Biden letter from 2022, and we talked about some of the information that was obtained today on President Trump's 2020 election. We've talked about Mother's Day, and so we just kind of are covering all different topics this week.
I guess. Yeah. What are you all doing for Mother's Day?
Nothing that I know of.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't worry, everybody. I've gotten, gifts have been acquired. There's not a big, huge, huge plan. I don't think for us it's ever been a big. I mean, we've done things. We've had people over, we've had dinner, but never been a big, huge, official, formal party type of thing.
Yeah. So,
no pressure, Greg.
Yeah, we're just going with the flow.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Are you guys doing anything?
We are not.
Yeah.
No.
Just enjoying the peace and quiet of the day. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So, well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe, and I hope you don't have any more tornado warnings tonight. So.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
It was really hard to hold off my comments about Michigan's football team. And
yeah, but you did it.
I did.
You held your tongue.
I was right there.
Yeah. So, anyways,
it's good. Glad they're okay. And obviously, anytime it doesn't have to be a tornado for there to be damage. We've just here in Ohio, we've just in wind recently have seen trees blow over onto houses and things like that. And I had to help some folks move a tree out of the road on my way to work one day. Well, I didn't have to. I did. But there were 5 or 10 guys out there trying to get little pieces of this tree off the road, enough for people to get by.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to that's what it's all about, is people helping people.
Yeah.
Neighbors being neighbors, and extending the hand of God that love one another.
Yeah.
So that's what this world is supposed to be all about.
This thing with that situation, all of us were out there doing that. I'm like, well, we could wait for the authorities to come do this, but
so
you get 10 people, even if it's a big tree. There's a way to if you have a
where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, there's a way to handle that situation.
That's right. That's right.
And no one could have done that on their own. I mean, this was a tree. I'm talking a tree fell over and took every bit of. It was somewhere between 5 and 10 people to get that going. But
well, I think that about wraps us up for tonight. Now, who knows if we'll get pushed off of YouTube after reading that letter that was sent to the president, but that was from 1922.
This goes back to that thing is you we can all disagree, and we do. And I disagree with you on things, and you disagree with me on things.
Right.
And we disagree with a lot of the people who just heard that.
Right.
A lot of those things. But we don't have to hate to disagree.
Yeah.
That's never been, and that's not what the Bible says to do. It obviously we're supposed to stand up for what's right and fight that fight if it's necessary for it to be a fight. But that does not involve being a world-class jerk.
Right. It doesn't. And we need to learn to do everything in love.
Yep.
And stand firm for what we're supposed to, what God has laid upon our hearts.
But if we do get kicked off YouTube, you'll find us somewhere. We'll figure that one out.
Well, enjoy your Mother's Day with
absolutely.
with your mother. If she's no longer with you, mine's no longer with me, then just remember those happy times. And if there's somebody in need of a pretend mother or a pseudo mother, take them out to lunch. Give them a card anyways and let them know that you're thinking about them. Because it is a hard day, as one of the callers called in and said. It's not, sometimes we get caught up in celebrating because we know the day and we don't always think about those.
It's easy to think of a thing of a good thing when you go out and there's greeting cards everywhere. And Mother's Day is a funny one too, because last year at Mother's Day? Yeah, it was last year at Mother's Day. I went into the bathroom at church, and in the men's room they'd actually put a table of Mother's Day cards. It was the funniest thing ever.
They were trying to give you guys a little hint and to help you out, which is a good thing.
But it was stuff like that. There's a lot of light to be made of stuff like that, and that's all good. But you can't forget that there's hurt and hurt hurt. Hurt and brokenness behind that, just like there is pretty much everything else.
That's right. So enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be praying for you, and you can pray for us as well.
All right. See you, everybody.
Have a good one.